Good morning and welcome back into the Cowboys Report for some breaking news. All-UFL linebacker Willie Harvey Jr., who played for the St. Louis Battlehawks this past spring, is set to sign with the Dallas Cowboys, allegedly, per Tom Pelissero, who broke the news, over interest from other teams, the Cowboys and Harvey, a match as the Cowboys add some linebacker depth. You knew this video was going to happen if you saw the news already, or maybe this is the first time you're seeing it. Because when breaking news happens, we have you covered here on the Cowboys Report. This is exactly why you subscribe. Even if the Cowboys normally do it at inconvenient times, there will be a video for you. We're going to break down the Willie Harvey signing. We'll have another video later this afternoon. Do not miss out. Hit that sub button right now. The roster move is not official at this time, and maybe it takes a couple hours or even a day, whatever. But that is the plan from every single reported party involved, local media and national media as well. Harvey will end up joining the Dallas Cowboys. He led the UFL in tackles this past season. He was also an All-UFL linebacker selection, one of the two linebackers to earn that designation. One of four players the Cowboys had worked out about a week ago. Clearly the workout went pretty well. Parties remain interested. And Harvey does have a chance, as we'll get into, carving out a roster spot. Harvey went to Iowa State. Michael Gelkins, he's a Dallas area resident, so I think that's a relatively newer development. I don't think I think he's from Florida originally. Went to Iowa State, spent several years with the Cleveland Browns as an undrafted free agent. Played in 4 games, by the way. Had 2 tackles in those 4 games. Then went over to the St. Louis Battlehawks for the XFL, and then when the XFL and USFL merged into the UFL, so the Spring Football League, if you will. Harvey was very productive this past season and was very good on that side of the football relative to expectations, etc. 76 tackles, 9 TFLs, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 6 pass breakups. He had success as a blitzer, had some success in coverage, and of course, led the UFL in tackles. He also led the UFL among linebackers in tackles for loss and in forced fumbles. Stat sheet stuffer in a positive sense. So we'll spend a lot more time on this, his potential roster role as well. But I want you guys to grade the signing of Willie Harvey Jr. A, B, C, D, or F. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So if that ad comes on YouTube, ignore it. Head down there and go vote. This essentially is kind of an undrafted free agency signing. So it shouldn't be lower than a B. Now, it's a little bit contract-wise. He's played time in the NFL, so I'm guessing it's probably going to be like a 1-year deal. Maybe they cheat and try to go 2 with little to no guaranteed money, but we'll see on that front there. But it is a fine signing for Dallas. Make no mistake, this does not excuse the lack of other moves. We can absolutely make our all-in jokes. That is fine. But in a bubble, in a silo, just evaluating this particular move, I have 0 issues. This is the type of move NFL teams should be making, bringing in the best players from the UFL, the XFL, the USFL, and allowing them to compete for a roster spot. That's fine. Now, expecting the UFL players to save your team is not a very good path outside of maybe some special team spots. They're not going to suddenly become your best linebacker. I have 0 expectations of Harvey starting for this organization, but the Cowboys do have a good track record here. They got Brandon Aubrey. They got KaVontae Turpin from the USFL. Those guys carved out roles predominantly on special teams. And that should be the general higher-end expectation. I don't think anybody involved, nor should they, think that, Harvey's going to come in and beat out DeMarvion Overshone and Eric Kendricks and be better than Reese Leofau and Damone Clark. Expectation should be, hey, maybe he can be linebacker 5 or 6 and not play much on defense, but be a contributor on special teams. That, I think, is a realistic higher-end goal, carving out the back end of a roster role, which is what he was in Cleveland before he kind of flamed out and got a second life in the UFL. Knowing, of course, you're in the UFL, your body's going to be tired. You're going from a full football season, basically, or at least half a season, however you want to describe it, season and a half, maybe, or 3/4 of a season, to, okay, camp's is a month and a half away. It's challenging for you. So does Willie Harvey Jr. make the Cowboys roster this season? Y for yes, N for no. Get those predictions in for me in the comment section of today's show. We have to expand our linebacker depth chart with the addition of Harvey. Who's going to be a weak side linebacker? He's not big enough and long enough to be a Sam. So I think weak side linebacker with some blitzing ability is going to be his main role on defense. We'll add this defensive end linebacker hybrid slot. Once the Cowboys cut down their roster, depending on who makes team, that'll kind of get merged with the Sam linebackers. That role's not that different, but I wanted to get all the guys who could play some linebacker, Tyrus Wheat, Byron Vaughns, who also could double as pass rushers for this team. We'll see how they sort out and filter out in preseason and the camp side of things. But Eric Henderson is going to make this team. Overshown's going to make this team. Damone Clark is going to make this team. Maurice Liufau will make this team. We'll put Mike at edge and not really count him in the conversation. That's 4 linebackers. Now, last year, Dan Quinn might have been the 4 that you would have carried. Now, with Mike Zimmer, who will use, frankly, it's going to border on infinitely more 3 linebacker looks, although doing them 4 times a game would be infinitely more because they basically didn't do it at all last year. Willie Harvey Jr. will fight for a role. Buddy Johnson, Damian Wilson, Byron Vaughns, Tyrus Wheat, all of those linebackers are going to have a chance to carve out that 5th and 6th spot. It's open competition. And the preseason, in particular, will make a big impact there. And we'll do our damnedest to keep an eye on what the special teams rotation looks, because that matters a lot. New kickoff rules, Bones Fossil will have, frankly, just as much input, or at least close to it, on who linebacker 5 and 6 is as Mike Zimmer. It'll be a collaboration. Let's give me your one-word reaction to the signing of Willie Harvey Jr. by the Cowboys. I'm sure we'll get some all-ins. Hyphenated one word is certainly fine. But let me know in the comment section of today's show. Harvey, I didn't like as much in coverage this past year. Not that he was bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought that there were more difficulties. And that's fine. That's how most linebackers are, especially in the UFL. Like, that's not, the good coverage players don't normally make it to the UFL because they're sticking around in the NFL. We do have PFF grades for Willie Harvey Jr., by the way. They did document it all. It's grades, so asterisk it, but, it's UFL. It's probably actually a little bit easier to do. 71.8 overall, a high run defense grade. Did miss some tackles this past year, is a bit of a red flag. 90 pass rush grade. He had a lot of success blitzing. That seems noteworthy, given how much Mike Zimmer likes to deploy those double A-gap mugged up looks. That's something that Willie Harvey Jr. fits pretty well in. Not as good on the coverage side. Now, with the XFL in 2023, before they merged over, 72.5. So again, the level of competition, not much of a change there. So I don't think you're going to ding it more there. Good run defense, better tackle grades, better coverage grades. He was around the ball a lot this past year. I think that ends up being a good thing, by the way. I am curious to see if the Cowboys end up making any other moves at UFL. We know that the 4 guys they worked out, Noah Dawkins, probably off the list with the signing of Willie Harvey Jr., plus 2 corners. They worked out Garyon Conley and DeAndre Baker. I'd probably keep my eye a little bit more here on Garyon Conley as a potential option from that standpoint. But Dallas has several open roster spots. They have the ability to add more players if they want to. Remember, Denzel Daxon now no longer counts. So I believe it's still at 4. If not, it's at 3. It's very close to it there. So adding Willie Harvey Jr. does not require an additional roster move. It's not needed. You can add him without having to do anything else. By the way, with his years played in the NFL, this will not impact the Cowboys' salary cap. He should not count among the top 51 players. He should be the vet minimum right there. Super easy. Curious how that all plays out in the end, but I think Harvey has a real chance of making the Cowboys roster predominantly as a core special teamer, and I think that has impact there, and we'll see how it plays out again. He's gonna need some time off to get that body healthy. Clearly, the workout went pretty well, and we'll see if Dallas makes any other move among UFL players. Hopefully, they found, if he's your 51st player on the roster, that's a win as far as I'm concerned. If more moves happen, we will have you covered. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/@CowboysTV.